Conduct of the business affairs of the Smith County Commissioners Court, that certain rules, regulations, and procedures be established for the meetings of the Commissioners Court. And such rules, regulations, and procedures are intended to establish a process that will provide equal opportunity for all viewpoints from members of the public regarding county business and facilitate a balance between public participation and the efficient and orderly conduct of the county's business in public meetings with participative government. And the purpose of that opening statement is to give people the feeling that here's what these rules are about. They're just not rules on paper that, why we start here with item 1 or item 2, but it kind of opens up and says, here's information for you as you sit here and go through this meeting process. Here's kind of what you can expect, and here's why this information is available out there to you. So hopefully it kind of opens up and gives people the idea that the only reason these rules exist is so that there can be an efficient and orderly meeting and people can participate in a way that makes good use of their time and the court's time and any other members who may be participating in the government process that day. So that's the first thing I'm going to put out there as a general opening statement to what we currently have now. I'm open for thoughts, additional feedback on that before we move on to anything else. Any comments regarding that?
Is that completely new language that didn't exist before, or is
that's correct. So the meeting, what we're doing here is we're either, what has happened in the past meetings is either people have made requests to modify certain language, to add or subtract language. And so those are generally the three things that we're going to be doing. We're either going to be adding new language as a suggestion, modifying current language as a suggestion, or removing current language as a suggestion.
And what you just suggested was totally new language?
Was totally new language that will precede the opening of the rules of decorum. Okay, and that comes from the idea of simply communicating why are these rules in place? What's the purpose of having these rules? And why I, as a member that's participating in this government meeting today, should be cognizant or aware of these rules. So hopefully that's a little bit friendlier than just saying, we got rules here, follow them. Okay? Yes, sir. And microphone, and please state your name. And I'm sorry I didn't tell you to do that. I apologize.
Yep. Bob Brewer, maybe 3 things on this. It seems a little wordy to me. I mean, there ought to be a way to condense it so that it's more friendly to the people that are reading it. The word participatory, or participative, I think should be turned to participatory. I'm not familiar with participative. And also the third thing, I found some typos in the first thing that was sent out a couple of weeks ago. I don't know, I sent it to a number of people. I haven't heard back, but there were some corrections there that I thought should be addressed.
Okay, and I appreciate that, and none of this stuff is in final form, so if I put something out there and there was an error, charge it to my typing or whatever the case may be. But what we really want to focus on right now, more so than syntax or diction, if you will, is how can we communicate more effectively why it is we do what we do, and how can it be clearer to the citizens. Now, I agree that it's wordy. What we have right now is a 2-page document, but that 2-page document does not seem to communicate to enough people why those items that are listed are currently listed. So we actually suggested 11 more things. So we don't need less, we need more. Okay, so I'm just that's pretty much been vetted out at this point. Yes, sir.
Richard Blake, hate to ask you to do this because I wasn't aware of what it was that you were reading. I thought,
sure.
Would you mind reading it again?
Sure, and I'll take, yes.
Since I know that that's a new wording.
Yes, so this is a opening statement that would go before the current rules of procedure in court. So right now, when you look at this document, it goes from the heading down to item 1, if we can call it that, Roman numeral 1. And so this would go before Roman numeral 1, so that anyone that picks up this document can look and say, okay, I see these lists of Roman numerals, or I see these list of numbers. Why is that here? What's important about that? Why do these exist, and how do they impact me? So whether you are a member of the public in general, or you are someone else that's an expert coming to testify or give information to the court, it communicates what should be happening and what you can expect. And so it goes something like this. It is important to the orderly conduct of the business affairs of the Smith County Commissioners Court that certain rules, regulations, and procedures be established for the meetings of the Commissioners Court. Such rules, regulations, and procedures are intended to establish a process that will provide equal opportunity for all viewpoints from members of the public regarding county business and facilitate a balance between public participation and the efficient and orderly conduct of the county's business in public meetings with participative or potentially participatory or some word utilization of that government.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you. Personally, I think that's excellent. I mean, it pretty much says everything that I think is important preceding the list of rules or regulations. I like it.
Okay, so we have 2 likes and,
One more.
no, just joking. I just don't, no, it is wordy, but be mindful that everything that we're doing so far, we have added to the wordiness of the document that we have now, which for those of you who don't know, many counties have more than a 2-page document. And not just counties, but other agencies, because they are trying to make it clear why they do what they do and how you should be able to interact with that knowledge. So my understanding today is that the reason for the suggestions, modifications, or improvements is to provide better clarity to what it is the Smith County Commissioners Court does and why they do it and how the public is impacted by that information.
So the test will be what follows, if that actually reflects accurately what your introduction says. So,
Correct.
okay.
Okay?
So that's where we are now, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Bob Brewer again.
Yes, sir.
Maybe this is an opportunity where we can use some of those links if people, rather than barrage everybody that comes in with a whole bunch of verbiage, maybe have an abstract that's printed on every page and then a link where they can access the specifics if they need it. That's just my.
Okay.
I'm not sure I understand what.
I think, well, let me try to clarify with what I think you are saying, and then you can answer the question. I can go to certain county websites, and I'm using mostly county governments because we are a county government, and there are some that will say, a blurb about the court has certain rules. For more details, click here. And then if you click there, it would actually go into the actual full outset of what the rules are that you have available to you that's presented by the court. So, but
It's sort of analogous to our agenda items that are currently on the agenda where there doesn't seem to be enough information. And if there were a link there that the public could click on and view before Commissioners Court, we get all the details. Something similar just to these rules of decorum.
Now, Mr. Brewer, I'm going to mess with you a little bit because in one instance, you're saying we give too much information, and one, you say it's not enough. So I need you to, we got to kind of be a little consistent. We either have to get a lot of information, or we got to say that enough information is out there, and the individual who wants more can gather more. But this body we can't do both. I mean, either we're going to be wordy and more, or we're going to be concise and less, and then leave it up to people to say, I want to know more, so I'm going to call X, Y, and Z.
Okay. My background is in science.
Okay.
I spent a lot of time with some of the top scientists on Earth. Every scientific paper that's ever published, pretty much, at least back when I was in the business, had an abstract, and then the body of the paper, and then a conclusion. So each abstract and each conclusion were very brief and pretty much told you what is going on, but for the details, you could read the whole body. That's kind of where I'm coming from when I make these suggestions about agenda items.
Okay.
And maybe this rules of decorum.
Okay.
This is Carmen Gardner, I'm employed in Smith County. You may not be aware of this, but on our website now, there is a section that gives the ordinances and procedures, and that's where the rules of conduct are actually found. And what it does on that introductory page, it does exactly what you're saying. It gives a very brief introduction of what that includes. If you want to see more, you click on it, it opens it up. So what I'm thinking Leonardo is talking about is the formal document itself.
Correct.
This is the rules and procedures. This is what's on the website now. Anybody can go to it at any time and find that. But that's that very small little intro paragraph, and it's not even that, it's probably a sentence, maybe 2 sentences, is where it gives you just very basically, this is what you're gonna see when you go to the rules of decorum.
Okay.
And then this is really the meat. The other doesn't give you anything. It's a highlight. That's all it is a highlight. This is the meat.